Hello and welcome. This is the IT Security Labs weekly live stream for everyone who is subscribed to our Hack the Box channel and who is part of our team. How is everyone doing today? I just hope that we're all doing great. And let me turn this off. Today, we're just going to be talking about the hacking methodology because I think that that's very important for us to understand. A lot of people ask me uh, what I'm really doing and how I do it and how I decide on what to go on to next. And today, I just wanted to walk through that process and let you know. For those who are regular members, you know that last week I had said that we'll go to our private channel. I found out that because of the policies on this platform, I can't really have other people show up and talk just in case people give out spoilers that violate our ability to still have a team here. So, because of that, I'm just going to keep it to this platform where I can just live stream and I can accept comments, but at the same time, having private conversations, especially in Discord and other places, looks a little bit more dangerous to a point where I might actually violate some policies here, like giving out flags or things like that. So if somebody says something that we don't like on this live stream, we just won't post it or we can edit it out, something like that. So I hope everybody was able to exploit our machine last week. Let me know if you in the comments and if you've done it before. If you have seen on our channel, we have one person that seems to really not like us that much, and no matter what video we post, they are always giving us a thumbs down. We appreciate their contribution. The YouTube algorithm likes thumbs up or thumbs down. So if you really want to show your support, just give me a thumbs up. There's always this one person, I don't know where they come from, but every time I post a video, there's one person who makes it a point to comment, gives me a thumbs down. So if you go through my most of my videos, you'll see there's one thumbs down on every single video. Somehow, if they have something to say, maybe they can let me know, but they just don't like me enough to do that every single time. It used to bother me, but now it doesn't because according to the YouTube algorithm, it's still a contribution. It's still an engagement to the channel, and it's still something. Sandeep, you are asking if you can join the team. If you want to join the team, just go ahead and put your username on HackTheBox. You can see my HackTheBox name here on the top right. Comment that in the comments and I'll add you. Yeah, thanks, man. So last week we worked on a machine that was very, very interesting. I'm curious if other people were able to actually get root on that. I struggled a little bit. It wasn't an easy machine when I was working on it. Let me just find my notes here on my phone so I can share a little bit of what I found out. Because it was not that easy. Give me 1 second. Yeah. So I did learn a few things from our last week's machine. Let me show you what it is. So if you were part of our team last week, you would have completed book as our machine. If you watched our live stream last week, I didn't have these green marks here. I did not have this machine owned last week. I worked a little harder than I thought. I spent about 12 hours on this machine. Most of that was on just getting root. I know other people were able to do it faster. But for me, I started the machine, then I went away. I went to do some work, then I came back, then I tried to remember where I was. So before we start talking about our hacking methodology, I wanted to discuss this. What did people think about this machine? Uh, Matthew, I know you're there. What did you think about this machine last week? It's a medium machine on HackTheBox, and it's definitely not an easy machine. I wouldn't say it's medium. For my skill level, I struggled a little bit. What did people think about the machine? Let me know in the comment section. I'm curious really, because last week when I was hacking this machine, I ended up staying up late because I was getting frustrated a lot. I can tell you what I was doing because that will spoil the machine for you. If you still decide to work on book, please reach out to me or any of our team members. They will be happy to help you. But it's a wonderful machine. I mean, after you find out how to get root on it, you actually appreciate it. So if you're going to be working on this machine, please let us know, and let us know where you're stuck, or if you don't know where to go after you get stuck. That's why we formed a team. Yeah, Matthew says, let me see if I can edit this one. Matthew says the user is fun. Yes, 100%. The user is definitely fun to get. Fun is, yeah, it's fun. Once you know how to get user, and once you get user, you're going to get the satisfaction of completing a hack the box machine. So if you're just joining us and you haven't been here before, our main goal is to go through as many hack the box machines as we can, create a community of people who want to hack. If you're interested in hacking, this is a wonderful opportunity for you, because you have people like myself and the rest of the team. We have more than, I think, 12 or 15 people in the team that joined us. And some of these people know what they're doing, and some of them don't know what they're doing. The idea is, if you don't know what you're doing, you can always ask us a question on our Facebook group, in our team, or on Discord. One way or the other, you can ask for help. And we also have resources like, we can point you to the right places if you don't know what you're really doing. So the whole goal of these weekly live streams is 100% dedicated to our Hack the Box team. We have to own all these machines one way or the other, right? If we do this every week and we pick a machine every week, we're going to somehow get through most of these machines. We can actually end up keeping up with Hack the Box. So right now we did book, and the other week we did, was it remote? No, the machine that we did the week before got retired. But I think we can do most of these machines as a team, and it's a wonderful opportunity because every single Sunday you can always count on us meeting and discussing these things, talking about the machine. But during the week, you have a chance to reach out to any of us or somebody who would have on the machine who post in our Facebook group. All right, so that was last week's machine book. I think it's a great machine. I would encourage anyone who wants to get really better at their offensive security skills to look at book. Thanks, Tectonic. It's good to see you on our streams. It's wonderful, man. Welcome. I'm not sure if I added you to our team yet, but here's something that I have to ask the team though. You see, I've owned a bunch of machines in the past week. My rank hasn't even increased yet. I don't know why or what's happening. This one is up here. So I don't know why this number hasn't increased. It still says 0%, even though I've owned root on book and on admirer. So if you know the answer to this, please let me know in the comments, because I'm very curious. I worked really hard on admirer last week, and still I don't see any progress towards pro hacker. So maybe I'm just too low. I don't know. But let me know let me know what you guys think. Okay, so Tectonic, you didn't get book yet. If you didn't get book, if you decide to work on book, just hit us up. We have a Facebook group that we have. We have a wonderful team of people that will respond to you. So join our team, work on the machine. The only thing that we ask of you is that you let us know what you have done. You say, hey, so I have actually ran Dearbuster, and here are the directories that I found. I'm just lost. Or you can send a message and say, hey, I don't know where to go. I just ran Nmap and I saw a bunch of, you know, ports. Then we'll be like, oh, have you looked at port 80? We'll ask you, have you looked at these ports? We are not really going to walk you through the whole process of doing it. But what we're going to do is be there for you when you get stuck. Because you can always look up some walkthroughs online for retired machines if you wanted. But here's our team so far. Our team is actually very well. 427. I think this is ranked in the United States. And here's our members. So, like I was saying earlier, we have some members who have a lot of points and some members who don't have a lot of points. Depending on where you are, all these different people here can help you. So you can join our team. There are a few people that I haven't added. I didn't add them because either I didn't get to it, or there's some people that I didn't think their accounts were real. They looked like spammy accounts. But I'll be adding everybody who commented on our previous videos before or who comments today. I'll try to add them until they prove us otherwise. But so far, our team is doing really great, and we have a few people who have been working on machines. So I really like that. Oh, Sean says there's no points. Yes, unfortunately, yeah. I have a CISSP, and I was earning points for every machine that I cracked on HackTheBox until they stopped points for retired machines. Now I don't get points for my CISSP. So that's why I'm focusing on active machines. It's not like I'll run out of points anyway, but it used to be nice when we could earn 1 point or something like that on retired machines. NetSweeper says beep beep. Okay. All right. So let's talk about hacking methodology. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a hacking methodology. Then before we end, we have to pick a machine for next week that we can all commit to exploiting. I'm committed because every single week I come here, I start these live streams. I have to crack that machine. If somebody cracks the machine in our team, usually they post in our Facebook page or somewhere right here. And I'm always looking for solutions. So this week I'm committed to yet another machine. I have to crack another machine. It's fun, it's satisfying, it's great. So we'll do that later, but let's talk about a hacking methodology, right? So you come here, you find a machine. It's an active machine, so chances that you find a walkthrough on it are close to none, because active machines, you have to work on them by yourself. So you pick a machine. What do you do? What is the process that you have to go through to get it done? So before I show you, or at least tell you my methodology, I'm curious, what is the first thing that you would do? Let me know in the comment section. What is the first thing that you do after your Nmap? Because I know Nmap is the first thing that you do. You run your Nmap to get your open ports. Sometimes you run your nmap scripts and see what kind of services are running and all the good stuff. You have your own custom nmap um, scans. After nmap, what is the first thing that you do? Why would you do that? And where do you go from there? So let's go there. And while you're typing, I'll try to answer this one. Oh, admire. So let me go to my machine admire. Yeah, I did own this machine. Let me see. What do you say? You say when you cannot connect to a database remotely. When I did admire, I think hmm, to be honest, I almost forgot what I did on this machine. I would have to look at my notes. Send me a DM on Facebook. Join our Facebook group. Send me a message. I would have to refer to my notes because every time I do this, I make some notes. I did get root, but I don't remember that one very well. So NetSweeper says after you run your nmap, it depends on what comes from your nmap results. And I agree with that. So when you run your nmap on your machine, for me, uh, thanks NetSweeper for saying that, because for me, when I run nmap, because of its HackTheBox, I already know what kind of machine it is, whether it's a Windows or Linux. So I'm already anticipating certain things from my machine. So if it's a say a Windows machine, I'm expecting some Kerberos ports to be open. I'm expecting port 80 to be open. The easiest ones are always some application is running on IIS or something, or FTP, always blowing in fruit if they're running FTP. So yeah, the idea is when you run your nmap scan and you're trying to figure out what ports are open, first thing that happens is if it's a Windows machine, if it's a Linux machine. If it's a Windows machine, for me, I'm always looking for FTP. If FTP is open, I'm going to try right away to sign in as anonymous. See if that lets me in. Most of these machines, some of them will let you in as anonymous. So I'm always going to try anonymous no matter what. I will try that. If I cannot get it in as anonymous, I'm going to try to find a user somehow with the credentials to sign into that FTP server, because people don't just expose FTP servers for no reason, right? Especially on HackTheBox. Somehow there's something in there that is important for you to do. So if FTP doesn't let me in, I'll move to the next port. Is it maybe port 80? On this port 80, can I do a SQL injection? Simple SQL commands that you can run, just to test, to see if it's actually capable of SQL injection. You have to test SQL injection if you have a web server and there's a login page. If that doesn't work, I'll look at the page source to see if there's some maybe capture the flag sort of like notes that are left for me. Okay, that doesn't work. Is there another port that is open, like 8080? PHP, my admin? Is there something? There has to be something that can let me in. The worst machines that I do not like personally are the ones that shows me a vulnerable application right away. Then I have to go and look for a CVE and get in. Those ones are just not fun. If it's a Windows machine on HackTheBox, look for FTP. FTP is always the one that I look at. Then, of course, there's Kerberos. Oh my god, that is my favorite thing. I've been Kerberosting for a while now, and I've been looking for machines with Kerberos authentication, Kerberos failures. Every time they post a new machine, I'm like, do you have Kerberos? Oh no, it's a Linux machine. There's some application or there's some CTF. I'm looking for Kerberos stuff. All right, so Matt says you look for uh, Web Recon since it's harder. Yes. For Web Recon, so what he's saying is if there's port 80 that's open on a machine, what do you really do? You have port 80 that's open on a machine, you have 443 that's open on a machine. You run your typical web stuff like dirbuster to see what kind of directories are open. Derb, that the difference between derb and dirbuster is that dirbuster is going to run the surface level if you don't really specify the options. Derb is going to do recursive, meaning it's going to go through directory and subdirectories for it. Depending on which one you prefer, you might have to run that, and that takes a lot of time. I ran derb once, and it took an hour and a half. And the file that I wanted to actually use was a subdirectory, and it was down in the P's. So yes, you might have actually to run your web app dirbusters in the way just in case to get rid of at least find out what's going on. Marcos, if you want to join the team, please paste your username. The username is just going to be like this one in the comments right now, and then soon after this stream, I will add you to our team. That's all you have to do. We don't ask you a lot of questions, and you don't have to be super great at hacking. Every week we pick a machine. So before this stream ends, we're going to pick a machine that will work next week. We'll work on next week. Last week we worked on book, and if a lot of people managed to hack book, so do that. Okay, so I see that NetSweeper said Dirbuster. Dirbuster. Let's talk about Dirbuster for a second, because I've ran Dirbuster before, and Dirbuster didn't give me anything. Or Dirbuster gave me the surface level ones, and I forgot to run it again against something that looked suspicious. Or at what point does somebody decide to just run Dirbuster against a machine compared to Derb? Because I think Derb, which comes pre-installed on Kali, does a better job, except it takes longer. I'm really curious. What does everybody think about that? So what I usually do is I run Dirbuster just for the fun of it. I'm hoping I don't have to pursue some web directory. GoBuster is better. Yeah, you have to install GoBuster, Matthew. You actually have to install GoBuster on Kali though. Nowadays, you kind of have to. All right, so if you're just joining us, this is a weekly live stream for the IT Security Labs HackTheBox team. And what we do is, as a team, every week we choose a machine and we attack it. If someone gets stuck, or if somebody needs help, you can always ask us in our Facebook page. And what we do is we try to help you, we try to point you in the right direction. Few of our members who can get root very quickly, because some of them are really great, they're always there to help you. What we are not doing though is give you root passwords, root pins, root flags. We're not doing that. We don't give you any flags. What we do is we work with you and we try to see where you are, and if you are really behind, we point you to the right resources. And we've been doing this is the third week right now, and I'm hoping if we can do this for 2 straight years in a row, most people who stick with us are going to get really better, because every single week we're choosing a machine and we stick to it and we attack a machine and we talk about it. Book was our last week's machine. By the end of this stream, we have next week's machine. So far, we have answered a lot of questions from other members who were asking about book, and I'm sure they were able to get root on this machine. So if you want to be part of us, please comment in the comments section, and let us know what your username on HackTheBox is, and I'll add you to the team. All right. So Tectonic says I'm not registered on HackTheBox or have a Facebook, but I'll get both and probably do through. Okay, so yeah, if you're not on Facebook and if you care about your privacy, what I suggest is just create a Gmail account, a new one for this persona. Create a Facebook account with a Gmail account. That way you can join our group without your personal family thing, and that's okay with us. We just have to approve you to get in. Otherwise, if you have troubles getting on HackTheBox, join our Facebook group first. There's a lot of people out there who are more than happy to uh, help you with the API and all the good stuff to get on HackTheBox. Um, MMM asked on Windows instead of Netcat. You know, I'll answer that one personally. Then others can respond in the comments. I'm a huge Linux person. I would use Linux any day. I don't I don't dislike Windows, but at the same time I don't use Windows unless if I have to. So far for a while now I haven't used Windows. But yeah, if I have to go to a Windows machine I would. But if you were to use a Windows, what the alternative to Netcat is, you probably can install Netcat on Windows. I haven't tried it, but I think you can. I don't see why I would want to run Windows. I right now as I'm streaming, as you can see, I'm streaming from a MacBook. So yeah. All right. So I think we have burnt almost half of our time. Right now, I just want to open it up to everybody. Before we choose a machine, let's talk about our methodologies really. If you have some time, please put it in the comments right now for everyone to see what your normal strategy is. And here are the two pillars, right? You run your nmap, you see a bunch of ports, and those ports are Linux Windows. There's 80, there's other ports, there's 80 and a bunch of other ports. For me, it depends, right? Just like other people were saying. If it's a Windows machine and there's 80 open, I'm looking at IIS. I'm curious what version of IIS are you running? If there's Kerberos running, I'm looking at the Kerberos ports. Is Kerberosting open there because that's the easiest thing to try. If the Windows running, I'm looking at FTP. Can I get in as anonymous in there? If I cannot get in as anonymous, somehow I have to get in there. Either somebody has RDP, remote desktop, open. So depending on the list of the ports that are there, I'll go on the ports and start from the top. But usually I do a quick scan to look for the Kerberos authentication ports. If the Kerberos ports are open, I usually don't waste my time on other ports. I try to Kerberos the machine. I've done some machines on this channel where I actually did Kerberosting. And so far, what I found out is that if they release a machine and it's a Windows machine, it's the easiest machines you can ever get into. Windows is the probably easier compared to Linux. So before I go to Linux, let me look into what other people are saying. Okay, and so NetSweeper saying that you start googling some port names and common CV is. Very smart idea. Because remember, if you are going to be a hacker, you have to take the shortest path as possible. You are not going to sit there and take the hardest way to get into a machine. You're looking for the easiest, shortest, and the most likely path to get root on a machine. So think about this way: you get a client, they give you 2 weeks and say, do a pen test on our network. You have 2 weeks to do that. You don't have 2 weeks to sit there and plant malware and wait until somebody clicks on something. And you actually have 2 weeks to do your pen test, uh, find something about the network, write a report, get it to the client, do a presentation, and hopefully prove to them that the infrastructure is configured correctly or not. So that's what we're doing here. When we go to a machine like Book, especially on HackTheBox, there's always a way to get in. It's just a matter of you finding it out and how you find it out. All right, so other than Windows, I mean, other than Windows, on Linux, for me, the best thing so far that I found is that, especially on HackTheBox, this is just specific to this platform, the HackTheBox. When I run my scans and there's a bunch of ports open and there's a lot of services running, I found two ways to get in. Either I can get in through the web app. Usually, if you run Nmap on this machine and you see that port 80 or 443 is open, you look for the DNS names like book.hackthebox, book.htb.com. Then you try to see if you can get in there. You look for the admin portal if there's a port 80 open. How do you get in the admin portal? Then you fire up a burp suite. You try to see when you sign in what happens. You look for the source code on the sign in page. Is it looking for authentication? If it's looking for authentication, what is it looking for? Is it looking for a specific number of characters? Can you pad and bypass that authentication using burp? Burp is very easy to use, by the way. I used to be intimidated by it, but it's extremely easy to use. Okay, if you're gonna get in on that, can you do SQL injection on that page? No. Can you find the username somewhere? Somebody posted the username somewhere. No. Can you maybe try to brute force it and see if it times out? Oh, sorry, MMM. Yeah, I yeah the Netcat alternatives for Windows. I'm not sure if I know those ones. I haven't used any of my hacking tools on Windows. I always use Kali Linux or my MacBook. So if somebody knows how to use Netcat on a Windows PowerShell command line or Windows command line, please comment in the description, because I'll be honest, I've never used Windows for this type of stuff. And the last time I used Windows was when I was an administrator and I needed to use it for specific things. I think after a while, Windows sort of falls in the background. I still know how to use Windows, but not as great, or I'm not as educated as far as the tools, especially if there are ethical hacking tools on Windows. And thank you, Matthew. Matthew is actually helping us right now. So far, I've said my methodology when I'm stuck with a Linux machine. So I go to my machines here, and I have a Linux machine. I scan the machine. If I see 80 open, I'm excited, because usually I can go and look for the admin login page. I can go and maybe create a wait list and try to brute force my way in. I can go and see if there's an application that's running that is, say, a version number or sort of like a release number or something. Then I can look up, oh, they are running this application and this application is a CVE. Those ones are not fun. Then, oh, of course, if there is a login page, you try your basic SQL command injections. Try to see if you can inject something in there. If it doesn't work, look at the page source. What is it really checking when you're trying to sign in? There is always a check-in process. Fire Burp Suite. Try to see if you can bypass authentication. If that doesn't work, go and look for the user somewhere else. Is there an FTP server? Is there something like a login page? Is there a note left somewhere? The great thing is that with the HackTheBox, we can always get in. There's always a way to get in, and that sometimes can be frustrating, especially for us, because we know you have to get in there. So that's what I actually try to do. Oh, and NetSweeper, you asking me if I start putting a wait. No, I don't. I don't put a wait list right off the bat. The wait list is usually after I've tried my SQL injection, after I've ran my burp, and if I cannot intercept anything I look at the page source and they're not doing any authentication checks. And if I've looked at other services and I still don't have a username and password from somewhere else, then the last thing that I do is and come in. If there's a website with a bunch of users, I'll create a user list from that. I'll create a word list from whatever the website is saying. But that is my last resort. Usually, that is if you cannot find a way to get in after a while, maybe that's the way to go in. And usually, when you do create a word list, there is probably another way to get in, like guesswork. The website would have said something. So yeah, a word list is actually great to create though, because if you know how to automate the creation of a word list, it can really help, especially if we're dealing with real companies that put people's real username and people's real names on their websites. You can create a word list that creates, say, usernames with starting with first initial last name. If you grab their names, or you can do first name dot last name and try to brute force in. Most people, though, if they know what they're doing, they would not allow brute forcing in the network. The firewall will probably just block you if they see that you're trying different times within 5 seconds. But for some of these machines, you'll be surprised. No, that's a good question because no, the few times I've created word lists on HackTheBox twice, on VownHub 3 times. VownHub, people who create machines on VownHub love the idea of you scraping the website for usernames and password and some clues. But yeah, that's what I'll do. Then I wanted to say for my privilege escalation, maybe this is just me. When I'm presented with a user and I get my user flag, just like that, I run sudo -l. It's so strange. The reason why I ran that is because there was one machine that I didn't run that command, and I ran a enum for Linux, which is a script that you can run to see vulnerabilities. I went on a tangent for 3 hours. Then I ran sudo -l, and I found out that I could just run sudo su and become root. So I was like, what the hell? So every single time now, when I get user and I get my first flag, sudo -l, just to see what can I do. Is there an application? Is there a script that I can run as root? Is there something I can do? Sudo -l, if that gives me something, I'm going with that because I know that's the way in. Any decent machine and any difficult machine is not going to give you something like that. The last two machines that I did though on this platform, sudo minus L showed me that I could just run sudo su and become root. I just couldn't see the flag in the other machine. So yeah, if you have time, please run this command. I am begging you. You get user on a machine sudo minus L. It could have saved me three hours a few weeks ago when I somehow convinced myself that it was something else. You go on really nasty rabbit holes only to come back and figure out that sudo minus L would get you root. So sudo minus L. Then you look at the permissions that we have, and that usually, if that's the case, there is some script that you can run, or in the easy machines, usually it's like, well, you have or, meaning you can just switch to root. Don't just expect to just do sudo su and get the flag. Usually, when they give you that one, they expect you to work harder at something else. So you become root, then you find out, oh, the flag is actually not available. It's hidden, or there's an application that is running that you need to exploit. So they give you root by default. You just have to check for it. Then my favorite one is also enum for Linux. And this is where understanding Linux is very important. If you know the file structure in Linux, if you know cron jobs, what kind of jobs are running, what permissions do they have, what kind of scripts are running, what are they doing, what kind of files are normal in a file structure. Backup.bak, it's dead giveaway. You see backup files somewhere, maybe look at those files. Look at those files for maybe somebody was backing up an application and the passwords in plain text. Somebody was backing up users and they'd password hashes in there. You always want to look at those backup files. You want to look at something that looks out of the place. And the only way you can know what's out of place is if you know what's normal. And that's where using Linux and working with Linux every single day sort of helps. And I don't think there's anyone who can teach you what to look for when you actually are looking at the file structure. Then there is another one too, where if you look at the file system, you can also see some maybe buffer overflows. Those ones are my favorite. Buffer overflows are extremely easy. Every time I identify a buffer overflow, I've sort of streamlined it for myself. I have a few scripts that I run, Python scripts, just to automate my buffer overflow. I can see the offset. I can see whether it's buffer overflow or not. That's something that you would have to develop sort of into identifying. But if you ever get to a point where you're identifying buffer overflows, you're going to be in a better place if you can see them. I actually am making 2 videos in the next 3 weeks on buffer overflows because that's my new obsession right now. So I'll leave that on that. All right. So now that we've spoken about my methodology, which is for Windows, for Linux, if you have any contributions, please comment in the comment section. What do you do when you run a scan and you see a bunch of ports? Are you scripted? I have a OneNote that I'm going to share with everybody somehow. I have sort of like a cheat sheet. I was going to create a sort of like a table that says nmap finds port 21 on a Windows machine. Try anonymous, get in or not. For buffer overflow, NetSweeper is asking what resources I would recommend. I say that Heath Adams, his YouTube channel, the Cyber Mentor, he has a good buffer overflow teaching. I think that's how I was able to understand it. watch his, I think he has 3 or 4 videos on buffer overflows, and he explains it very well. Heath Adams or the Cyber Mentor on YouTube. If you still don't understand buffer overflows, I suggest you do it. The moment you do it, you're going to see that it makes sense. There's a few machines on Hub that you can do that will teach you buffer overflows. I'll be making some videos on those as well, but you have to do it. You can't just watch somebody do it. So try it, but also watch Heath Adams' videos. I think he explained it the best. I didn't understand them. I was intimidated until I watched these videos. MS says, what level is this? Is it simple pen test? I think that the level that we're talking about here is usually people who are more interested in pen test. I think that a lot of people who work in the industry who are doing pen test every single day might not have the same skill level that people that do it every week like we do have. I'm not saying this out of arrogance, but I'm saying it based on the amount of stress it causes. And I don't think a lot of people are constantly attacking machines on HackTheBox. The idea for us here is that we actually are trying to build a skill. We are trying to be masters of our domain. And I've heard a lot of people saying that the HackTheBox machines are harder than the OSCP. And people with the OSCP get hired in the industry and become pen testers. So when you ask what level this is, I think that our team is all inclusive. We want everyone from zero experience to 10 years of experience to be part of us. You work on your rate, you get motivated. If you start working on machines and you get stuck, it needs to be within you to ask for help. And when you get help, you have to have it within you to actually follow through and actually execute. This field of cybersecurity is really not one where people just get by. You don't just learn how to hack, get a job, get paid $120,000 in the United States, and then you can sleep on your back. These are people that do this on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. People who succeed in this field are people who are motivated, people who find fun, people who gamify this, people find this interesting enough to do it when they're not getting paid. If you're somebody who just wants a job to be a pen tester and get paid $140,000 because it's for the money, you will not enjoy this. So the skill level is really beginner, but also at the same time, it's for people who love this stuff. I do this because I like it. I spent 6 hours trying to hack a machine. That's useless for people who don't enjoy this. It's stupid, they would say, if you spend 6 hours on a machine and you're still trying to crack it. So if you get that fire in you and you really like this stuff, you'll be very successful and you enjoy it. But if you don't enjoy it, this ambiguity and the challenge of trying to find answers, and you just want to be a system administrator and go home and sleep and come back and do the same thing tomorrow, this might not be the best. I would say that confidently that this is not for those type of people. All right. So I would like to use our last 10 minutes to pick our machine. This is the fun part because this is where we get to know what machine are we going to be attacking this coming week. Last week, we attacked the book. A lot of people say it's a medium machine. I say it's a difficult machine. I got my ass handed back to me on this machine. I'm glad I learned something from it. And this week I'm curious. So let's pick something that I haven't done because I've done a few of these. If you have any machine that you've done here that you would like to suggest to us, let us know. We'll look into it. Thank you, my brother. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but you said great advice. Yeah, I see. That's the honest truth, though. If you don't enjoy hacking, if you don't get a fire burning, you're going to hate this. If you just want to go home and play video games and not be frustrated by hacking, you shouldn't do this because sometimes this might take away from some other things. So, what machine are you suggesting this week? I want us to do an active machine, preferably an easy machine, because that allows that is accommodating for everybody. Which machine does everybody think we can attack this week? The thing is, when we agree on a machine, I commit to it. I attack the machine. I make sure that we get root on the machine. And there's a few people that actually do commit to this. And if you commit to every week, you're going to be really good. So start throwing some names. Otherwise, I can pick one. Quick is somewhere in the middle. A lot of people found it sort of difficult. Travel is definitely difficult. Blender is easy. It's a Linux box. I haven't done this one. Comment in the comment section if you have any preference before we choose one for this week. We only have 9 minutes left, and I want to make sure that we have a machine. Oh, you did 8? I think that one is a retired machine. Why do I remember that machine? I could have done it or I tried it. Oh, this one is this one is a Linux relatively easy machine. So let's see. Matthew says Blender. Ned Sweeper says he doesn't really care. He's game for everything. Oh, Harry, yeah, I understand. I'm sorry that you cannot join us, but I'm glad you were here. Blender. Let's see. Let me look at Blender. What do we have on Blender? Are you sure this is a retired machine? All right. Oh, Blender is easy. This is an easy one. Okay, so this is Blender is not retired. It's actually active. Yeah. So this is what we're looking at. Just in case you haven't worked with this before, this is what people vote after they work on the machine to say what the machine is. They're saying there isn't much enumeration needed here. I mean, look at this. You can enumerate, but it's not that bad. 6.4 enumeration. CTF like is 4.7. So, you know, there's some CTF-ish stuff to do. Then let's look at this. Real life is 5.3, but there's a CVE. So I know for a fact on this machine, there's some CVE that I'm going to be working with, whether on privilege escalation or on getting user. At least that's how I look at this, just to give yourself a sort of a heads up, right? Oh yeah, yeah. I get you, Net Sweeper. All right. So, does anyone object to us working on Blender? Because I think that this will be a wonderful machine for us for this week. We have 6 minutes here that we're going to be just using to talk about it. So, for this week, as IT Security Labs and as our team, we're going to be going for Blunder, a Linux machine on HackTheBox. Remember, if you can do these machines every single week with us, things are going to be great for you. You're going to get better at what you do. You're going to be motivated to do it. If you have troubles with the machine, go to our Facebook page, post your question there and say, hey guys, I'm working on Blunder. I found port 80 open. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Someone, I promise you, someone will be like, hey, have you looked at this other service? Have you done this? Or they'll send you a direct message asking you what you have done. Hacking is not easy, and I hope that you realize that if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. Everybody would be hacking. Oh yeah. So far everybody seems to like Blunder. So what we're going to do is we're going to lock it in. Blunder is our machine for this week. If you are just starting out, I'll give you a quick tip here. For me, I run my Kali. I run my Kali in my VMware Fusion here. Oh, look at what I'm. Oh, well, I was working on another machine. Hey, if you're working on this machine, now you get a hint. This is the machine I was working on, and here's an nmap scan that I just did. So if you're working on this machine, it's still an active machine. It's called cache. I was working on cache earlier. I haven't gotten root yet, but I will. So what I do is I have a Kali running VMware Fusion on my Mac. The newer version of Kali requires us to run it in user mode. I'm going to replace this machine so I can just run its root. So, but what I do is I do a sudo. Then when I go to my home directory, you see that I have a folder called machines. So I can in here, that's where I put some machines. This is my new version of Kali. You see I have a few machines in here. So if I do say cd cache, which is a machine that I was just working on earlier today, I have my nmap results in here. This way, even though I stopped working on my machine, I can continue to work on it later. So what I would do now that we have a machine called Blunder, I'll come in here and make a directory. This is so you can get started, right? I'm going to name it Blunder. All right, so I just ran my history because I want to see what I've ran before. This is just all the things that I do on a day-to-day basis. But from here, then I can just run my nmap scan to see what kind of ports are open. I cannot run my nmap right now because I don't own the machine Blunder yet. So I just want to quickly show you sort of like the workflow that I go through. Then I run my nmap. Then depending on what's open on Blunder, I will go from there. If you have any questions, if you feel lost, if you have any frustrations, just go to our Facebook group, post your questions, find any of us, send us a direct message. We always look into our messages. I know Matthew is always happy to help. Ruth is always happy to help. There's always going to be somebody that we can forward you to. Ask questions. Just even say, I'm just new and I don't know what to do. And we might point you in the right direction. If hacking is your goal and if you enjoy hacking, I think you're in the right place. So other than that, guys, thank you all for showing up for our IT Security Labs weekly streams. This week's machine is Blunder. We should attack this machine. Next week, when you see me, these two should be green. So if anybody has any questions, post them now, or otherwise join our Facebook group. I'll link it to the description of this video. And also look at our other videos. There's a link to our Facebook group. Otherwise, happy hacking, everybody. Stay safe and make sure you're doing great. Aswin says start already. Oh, okay. Hey, before I go, so you know, let's go to Blender and start this machine, huh? Shall we? I'd like to start this machine because I already have my Kali machine ready, right? I'm ready to run my Nmap here. But I need to start my VPN. Here's my VPN thing going on. I need to start my VPN, then I'll get mine started. If you like to have a one-on-one, please let me know. I'll also be happy to show you the ropes. Otherwise, thank you all for showing up, and happy hacking. If you have any questions, if you have any concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of our team members. If I cannot answer your questions, I know I can always count on a few people in our community that are dedicated, like Root and Matthew and Tectonic. There's a lot of people that I know that I can always DM and send messages, and they will be here to help. Oh yeah, no spoilers. I hope I won't spoil the box for you. Yeah, that's our goal. All right, then. Thank you very much for liking this video. You diluted this one person that thinks they can dislike every video that I post on my channel. I don't know why they're trolling me, but thank you for liking my videos. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Join our Facebook group. Otherwise, I'll see you next Sunday, and I'll be posting another walkthrough this week as well. And I'll be on Facebook, hoping that I can answer any of your questions. Thank you very much.